Hey, y'all, and welcome back to Dr. Mandy Unedited, the podcast where we decode academic writing and demystify research. My name is Dr. Mandy, and I'm your new unofficial PhD advisor. And this week, I am talking all about digital literacy, what it is, why it matters, and some tools that you can use to streamline your PhD and research experience. And of course, I'm supplementing this with how-tos and tips over on TikTok. So make sure that you go check out at Life with Dr. Mandy on TikTok. First, I want to start off with talking about why I think digital literacy is important in research and PhDs. I've noticed a lot of people discussing, digital tools and AI, and, some people seem to be all for it, some people to be totally against it. I have a lot of clients who simply just don't know how to use digital tools, and I think that can be the case for a lot of people. But I was quite surprised, honestly, that when I started researching in the real research world, to find that like a lot of researchers are also not using digital tools. And I get it, you might not know how to use them, you might not know where to start, or you might be totally against them. You might be asking questions like, well, is this cheating? Does this mean I'm lazy? Does it interfere with critical thinking? Does using digital tools in academia water down the process? But here's the thing, whatever your view is of digital tools and digital literacy, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry to say, it just absolutely doesn't matter because, and hang in with me for a second, the reality is that we live in a digital world. So many of us, myself included, are digital nomads. And that means that we grew up in a time where, technology wasn't a prevalent thing necessarily. However, the kids that are growing up now are digital natives. And that means that they've grown up in a digital world and it's ingrained in their lives and in society, and there's no getting away from it. So think about it. The future of research, these people who are kids now, who are going to become researchers and in the future, they will be using lots of digital tools in their research, whether we like it now or not. So I know a lot of people worry about, kids losing skills with technology. And I know a lot of people want to ban technology and especially AI from universities and higher academics, but it's going to get used whether we like it or not. So I think that we currently, in the now, in the present time, have the responsibility to teach digital skills and literacy responsibly and ethically and integrate it into our research so that we can start to build the standards that researchers will use in the future. I think that research will look very different in the future because of technology. And I think now we have an opportunity as current researchers to set a precedent for how it will be used. So let's just talk about how we can use digital tools and digital literacy now to enhance that. So let's talk about what digital skills can be in research. It's not just about knowing how to use a Word document or Google Scholar. It can be about critical engagement with digital tools, right? Like, can you evaluate sources? Can you organize your research without losing your mind? Can you spot AI generated nonsense in a journal article? And it's also about agency. Digital tools gives you the ability to choose things that work for you to make your processes more efficient, not just what, everyone else in the research world might be using. Let's start with talking about some core skills that you can build with digital tools, and then I will tell you some digital tools you can just poke around with and see if it helps you out or not. So, if you are a little intimidated with building your digital literacy knowledge, you can start just simply by learning how to organize papers better. And you can do that through actually using a digital tool like Zotero, or you can just simply start with consistent file naming or learning how to use a cloud to back up your papers and your data and your writing. You can also, just strengthen your skills using search engines and sources. I know, that is a really complicated area for a lot of people, but learning how to use search engines can be a really vital digital skill. And I really recommend that a lot of universities have coaching and sessions and tutoring on how to use search engines. So definitely check that out. Understanding digital skills and digital literacy can also be like an incredible tool just to like find your way around the internet. I learned from my teaching days that if you know where to look on the internet, you can pretty much find anything for free. And that has helped me so much, like in my research, finding sources for teaching, all of that good stuff, just learning in general. So, really, just understanding how to navigate the internet in that way can just be a good digital literacy skill as well. You can also learn, digital tools to help you with citations and reference formatting as well. You would be surprised when I edit dissertations and theses how many people are still trying to do all of that stuff manually when there are so many really good tools out there to help you do that literally in one click. And okay, last thing, I really encourage you, and I know that it's a very scary word, but I really encourage you to build your AI literacy as well, okay? Know what AI can and cannot do. You can use AI for brainstorming, fact checking. You can use it like sometimes when I'm not sure how to format something in APA correctly and I'm not finding like a really clear rule in the manual, I can, just check it with AI. And so, with that conversation comes the whole thing about, like AI is not perfect. It definitely makes a lot of mistakes. I have witnessed it in the past, give me bogus links or make up citations. So you definitely need to use AI as kind of like a double checking tool instead of trying to actually be like the first source to find things. When it comes to things like, like kind of like organizing your brain with like the brainstorming and the outlining and stuff like that, yeah, you can definitely use AI right off the bat. But if you want to use AI for like kind of further into research, you definitely need to use it, yeah, as a double check, as a secondary instrument, not as your first go-to. So I would really encourage people to look up how to use AI ethically and responsibly because there's so many good things that AI can do for you, but it is definitely not for writing entire portions of your paper for you. I've heard so many horror stories of people doing that, and guess what? They get caught every time. So, anyway, getting off the tangent about AI, here are some tools that I swear by that I encourage everyone to check out. And I think most of these are really good, especially for beginners if you want to dip your toe into learning a little bit more about digital tools. So, first of all, the biggest one, if there's no takeaway from this today, please check this one out, is Zotero. Zotero is great for citations, references, paper organization. I love Zotero because it's completely free. It syncs across all of your devices. So if you have papers saved on your desktop Zotero, you can open it in your phone. You can make notes directly in Zotero. You can also highlight your papers, put notes on the papers. You can make different collections of papers for different projects. And yeah, again, Zotero is like incredible because it's completely free, but also it has an app. It has a browser extension called Zotero Connector. So you can literally be looking at your browser at a paper that maybe you want to save, and you can save it in one click with the Zotero extension. You can also get an extension for or a plugin, I guess you would call it, for your Word documents. So if you are writing a paper, you can literally just in one click create a in-text citation from Zotero with the Zotero at the top of the ribbon on Word. You can also create an entire reference. But if all of that information really, freaked you out and you were like, oh, I don't know if I could figure that out, I would encourage you just to go find a citation generator in general. There's a lot of like good basic ones out there. I would definitely recommend Scribber or BibMe. One thing that I would say about any kind of citation generator is that there does tend to be a little hiccup. I've noticed this in all three of the ones that I've mentioned, by the way, where they don't necessarily get the sentence case right for APA 7 if you are referencing journal articles. So if you have a reference that is a journal article, it should be in sentence case. That means that only the first word of the article should be capitalized and any proper nouns as well. So definitely have to be on the lookout for that little glitch when you're creating references really across any kind of citation generator. Other than that, yeah, citation generators can save you a ton of time in trying to figure out how to format a reference correctly. Next, let's talk about Canva. I use Canva every single day, not only for like promotional materials, but I use it for tons of different like creative outputs and research. I can make spreadsheets, I can brainstorm, I can bulk create content. Canva is a powerhouse if you are more of a creative thinker. I really would recommend if there is anything you are going to pay for, that I think like the paid for version is like $13 a month or something like that. But it really is kind of like an all-in-one kind of tool, especially when you might need to, yeah, make a table or a spreadsheet or make some sort of like creative visual something or other for research. Canva is definitely the thing that you can use it for. And now let's talk about cloud backups. I would recommend, I know a lot of universities right now are using Microsoft kind of like as a hub for emails and stuff like that. Microsoft tends to come with OneDrive. So OneDrive is really great because, yeah, you can back up all of your files and your writing and your transcripts on that, but it will come with usually like an online version of Word as well. So you can share your writing between, your colleagues or your supervisors, and they can write or edit in real time on your papers. And if you're a Google Drive type of person, Google Drive can pretty much do the same thing, and that one is really good as well. And then, yeah, let's talk about like some editing digital tools for a second. My go-to is Grammarly, and I've also started experimenting with one called Pro Writing Aid for editing. I find that, all of these kind of like editing apps these days have like the get the pro version or like make your writing better kind of ads, and like I find those really annoying. I've been using Grammarly for like decades now. I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a very, very long time. So I've kind of like witnessed it transform from, just like, a good basic editing thing, and now it's, all of these like ads and stuff. So yes, that is annoying, but let me tell you, you do not need anything else other than the basic features that these editor apps come with, okay? You don't need to like learn how to write more professionally or blah 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 blah. I think that's just kind of pointless. Like really, you could go over to an AI and drop in like something that you want to say and say, hey, can you make this sound more professional? And it will do it for free. So what I'm getting at is, if you are going to use like an editing tool like Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid or whatever, just stick with the basics. I don't think that you really need to buy anything for these apps. And Grammarly especially, I like that it has a bunch of different plugins. It has like a Word plugin, a desktop version. I think it also has like pretty much any kind of like browser. So you can basically use it to edit anywhere. If you're writing an email, if you're writing a paper, it will edit for you. Even your like text messages. I think at one point I had it on my phone, and it could edit your text messages. I also like Grammarly, and this is kind of a random tip, but as you may or may not know, I'm an American living in the UK, and one of the things that has really like thrown me on my butt is the differences between words and writing in between between America and the UK. So I find like when I'm editing papers, I do edit, papers and dissertations and theses from across the world, and I can just easily toggle and Grammarly to, search for either American English or British English or other versions of English pretty easily, which is like something that I really love. And now let's go back to the AI. Let's go back to the AI conversation. There are tons of great AIs out there for research. You can use, there's some specific AIs like Elicit or Humata that are specifically built for things like literature reviews or finding papers that relate to each other. But if you're interested in just testing out AI, you can start with like a really basic one like ChatGPT or Copilot. Again, if you are with a university that uses Microsoft, then Copilot comes with that. ChatGPT is okay too. I think they have differences. ChatGPT does limit you to how much you can use before they want you to have a pay version, whereas Copilot is pretty much unlimited. But other than that, I haven't really found any significant differences between them. The AI, it can really help you, yeah, build your ideas, double check citations. You can even build tables if you're savvy enough with it. I know that I've used it to build tables in one click. All I have to do is import my data and bam, copy paste it into Word. So yeah, and again, AI, it will make mistakes. Always use it as a double check. Always check it before you take it for gospel. And I guess always check, like what your university says. I think like a lot of the research that I've been reading right now on AI is that, people are kind of all over the place with what their policies are regarding AI. And, there's also AI checking tools like Turnitin and stuff like that. So if you're using AI, I would definitely be kind of wary copy and pasting things directly into your paper in terms of like writing content. Just be aware about what your university dictates so you don't get in trouble in that sense. And now let's talk about analysis tools. Yeah, again, this is the thing that like really, really bugs me in the real research world is that people just don't know how to use analysis tools, or they get really scared about it. I know that like things like SSPS or in vivo can be really scary. I remember in my PhD program, there was an SSPS course that anyone, no matter if you're qualitative or quantitative, had to take. And there was literally people dropping out of the entire PhD program because they did not want to take the SSPS course. They're like, oh, I'm bad at math, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is, and like really for any of these tools that I mentioned, there are so many YouTube videos out there on how to use. So I know that, like these bigger tools like SSPS and Vivo or whatever, latex, they can seem really scary and really hard to use, but there are really good comprehensive videos out there. And yeah, I've, been to my university. They offer courses as well on how to use them. They've offered professional development on how to use these things. And so I go to those things all the time to learn how to use these tools. And another really important thing to consider is something that happened to me recently was that a project I was on, when they were building the proposal and all of this, they specifically named in vivo as the tool that they were going to use to code and analyze data. But I found out, yeah, like no one on my team knew how to use in vivo. So I had to go in and, teach them how to use it, and it really set like all of our progress back for a couple of weeks because like we had to sit down and have this conversation about how to use it. You had to play around with it, get confident in it. But the reality is that these tools were built for research, and I think it's just like, yeah, important for people to have at least a basic understanding of them so you don't slow yourself down trying to bang out these research projects. And look, at the end of the day, I'm not telling you to be a tech wizard. You just need to use digital tools strategically. Digital literacy, it builds over time. And sometimes you will have to experiment with different things. But, the goal is to keep moving research forward by integrating digital tools into your life and setting, the standards for future research. So, with that being said, go out there, be brave, find a digital tool, just to experiment with it. See, if it does change your life a little bit. If not, that's okay, but don't let yourself be struggling because you want to do things manually because that's what you know how to do when there's something that could kind of be pretty basic out there to help you out. In the meantime, you know the spiel. If you need any help with your PhD process or your editing of your dissertation, your thesis, your coursework, your journal articles, whatever, I am available. Just let me know. You can get a hold of me through my email at mandykf@gmail.com. That's MANDIE kangaroo foxtrot at gmail.com. Or you can check out my website, www.drmandyedits.com. In the meantime, go figure out how to organize your papers better, okay? But I'll talk to you next week. All right, see you, bye.